morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Sassy Colouring and my first installment of Find Me A. This video is Find Me a White Pen. I am your host Saskia, aka Sassy, and any opinions, views or art you may see in this video are my own and are not to be taken as personal. They're just my opinion and preference and style. What works for me might not work for you, and that's okay. With all of that out the way, I apologise for any noise that comes from my noisy children, and let's get into the video. I have 5 different pens for you to look at today. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of each one, and then I'm going to show you and test them out. So the first one, very well known, is a Posca pen. This one cost me $2.77. They do come in a range of different thickness nibs. This one that I have is a 0.07mm and also is marketed as a bullet shaped nib. Up until now, that's the one I've used more often than not. The next one I have for you is a Uniball Signo Broad White. I don't think it actually gives me the size of the nib, but it is a thicker one, so I'm going to go with a 3 or a 5.03 or 0.05. Then we have a Sakura Jelly Roll 08. I wonder if that is the size of the nib. I don't know if you can see properly because my camera's not focusing, but there's like a crusty, gross stuff on the end there, so I'm hoping this works. The next pen we have is a Pentel Hybrid Gel Grip. That's a mouthful. Again, no size on the pen, but it is about the same as a Sakura, so we'll say 0.08. The last one is a no-name brand, and it has absolutely nothing written on it. So those are the 5 white pens we're going to be looking at and testing today. So I suppose the most common test to do is to get a black piece of paper, draw some squiggles, write some shapes. Let's see how they work on the black paper. I also have a line of light marker and dark marker, light colour pencil and dark colour pencil, because that's what we're going to be using it on. And so I think it's nice to test it on mediums that we actually might be using the pen on top of for highlights, etc. So what I've tried to do is to get a light and a dark marker and get an even coat all the way down the page so I can test out the same with each pen and see how they work. I've written the name of the pen, the cost, and the marker and pencil sections, and then later on we'll give them a score. So as you know, if you've ever used Posca pens before, they're paint pens and you have to activate them by playing around with them and smushing in the nib until the paint runs through to the point of the pen. Again, the Posca pen cost me $2.77 without postage, because I know the postage to Ireland does cripple us, so it won't be the same as other places. So on the black pen, on the black paper even, you can see that the Posca pen shows up really, really well. It doesn't take much activating, and you can see the lines are smooth. I do enjoy working with a Posca pen, and this is my go-to pen for doing highlights, etc. I'm doing the box here to colour it in because I find with some white pens you can do some really nice details over a picture, and then not so long after you go back and they seem to have disappeared. So by drawing this box in, maybe we can come back after and see whether it's still as clear later on when it's dry as it is now when we're drawing it in. Okay, so the next pen I'm going to use is the Signo, Uniball Signo. Now I've heard good things about this pen, but I've never actually used one. So let's see, give it a bit of a shake, see if we need to activate it. Nope, straight away it's come out really nice and juicy, as I like to say. Now I couldn't get this Signo as a single pen, I had to buy it in a pack of 3, which was $5.18 for the pack of 3. Which works out at $1.72.73 each pen. As you can see, it's actually more pronounced, if that's going to be the word I'm going to use now, than the Posca pen. You can actually see it better on the black pen, or on the black paper. I'm going to continue to call it black pen. You can see it better on the black paper. I actually was super surprised with how much I like this pen. And on the black paper, it's just beautiful. It really shines and stands out massively. Even now, at this point, you can see the difference in the white of the Signo to the white of the Posca pen, and that surprised me. Okay, next we're going to go on to the Sakura Jelly Roll. Again, this is a firm favourite with a lot of people, but I have used one of these before. I gotta get rid of all this stuff that's on the nib of this pen. It's kind of a sandy, kind of dusty residue on the end of it, and so I want to get rid of it to give it a good chance to work. We want to give them all a chance to do their best. Again, I have used this before, and I couldn't get this in a single pack. I had to buy it in a pack of 3, which cost me $9.13 without postage. That is $3.04 each. It's kind of living up to my expectations in that, even though I've heard some amazing things about the Sakura, however you want to pronounce it, jelly roll, I don't find it that interesting. I don't find it that good, and this is a new pen. I have bought all of these new, even though I have existing ones, to make sure that it's not just the fact that mine are old or I've used them, but it's not as nice, and I've had to go in with extra dots just because it surprised me how poor this pen actually worked for me. So now I'm going to go in with the Pentel. The Pentel is the hybrid gel grip. I do like the fact that it's got a nice grip on it. This I could get in a pack, but single it was $3. When you bought it in a pack, they worked out a small bit less at about $2.95 per pen. So you can buy them singles. If you want to buy the pack of 3, obviously it's more expensive, but they do knock 5 cents off. So the same swirly whirly designs here, and again you can see the difference in how vibrant it is on the black paper compared to the other gel pens. I've kind of tried to do the same designs so that you have the same idea of how it works in a fluid motion, how it works when you're just doing a scratching motion like the hashtags, the dotted motion, and then colouring in a square to show you how does the colour layer up. What I'm finding with this one is, as I'm trying to colour on top of the white that I've already coloured, I'm kind of scratching it back off, so the colour is scratching itself off almost. So I'm not too impressed with the way that this one layers. Now I'm going to go on to the No Name brand. I wanted to add a No Name brand because sometimes you find these pens are exactly the same as the more expensive ones. So this one I got off Wish, and it was $2 for a 2-pack, making it $1 per pen. I think the shipping was also free, so you're literally only paying $1 for this white pen. So I suppose again you can already see the difference in quality. You can see that, say, from the Posca pen to the No brand pen, there is a massive difference. But there is also a massive difference between paying $1 and paying $2.77. So I always like to include the cheaper, budget-friendly, rather than cheaper, budget-friendly option, because just sometimes if you want to experiment, you don't want to have to pay a lot of money to find out that something is good or not so good. So it definitely depends on what you're going to use it for and how often you use it. Now, one thing I forgot to do, which I like to do with my white gel pens, is to smudge them into my colouring pencils. So normally what I would do is just draw a straight line and then take my finger and smudge it. It kind of stops it from being such a harsh line. Again, to me, it's another sign of a good quality pen because they smudge in when they're wet but not when they're dry. So this one you can see has a slight smudge on the Pentel. The Sakura go a bit closer, completely blur you out. I understand that this is blurry, but my camera isn't the great. So let's go in with the Sakura. Do you see how that smudges, kind of, you could smudge that into something? If you're doing a pen and ink drawing, the white really does, it makes a difference to me anyway. This is something that I would do. The Signo, again, super impressed by. I really enjoy the Signo pen. I think I may have found a new favourite. Posca, again, smudges beautifully, but this is where I found that technique to smudge it into things, was with the Posca pen. Surprisingly, the no brand marker didn't smudge at all. The others was definitely a wide range of how they worked with regards to how bright they are on the black paper, how well they smudged, how well they laid down. So what I'm going to do now is test them out, same kind of designs, but on marker and pencil. Again, I just scribbled down a bit of marker, scribbled down a bit of pencil. There's no special technique to this, I literally just scribbled them on. So let's see how the Posca pen does across the marker and the pencil. So a straight line straight across, and you can see that on the light, the dark marker, the light, the dark colouring pencil, you can see it. It is visible to you. If you were colouring, again, it is visible. Now the new fashion is kind of dots everywhere. I definitely think that Nicola Tagger, one of my colouring team members, is the inspiration behind these dots everywhere, because she uses them a lot in her art, and they really make things stand out. She was the first one I saw use them, and then all of a sudden they were everywhere. So hats off to you, Nicola. That's definitely your kind of signature mark. Okay, so if I was using this on a drawing page, I would definitely probably go over it again, maybe to darken it, to lighten up the white and make it a bit more vibrant. But you can definitely see it across the page. It definitely stands out. Even if you pull back a bit, you can see it. So let's move on to the Signo. I can definitely see the appeal with this one. I can definitely see why people enjoy using this pen. Again, the line straight across, you can definitely see it on all four of the boxes. If you were colouring, again, that was a really nice smooth colour, the same as the Posca pen. I do think this is more vibrant than the Posca pen. I do think that it shows up just that little bit more. We have a new white pen as my fave. So coming along to the colouring pencil here, I did have to go over it once or twice, because unlike the Posca pen, it did kind of take a bit of work in to get it to lay over. But once it did, it again was more vibrant. Okay, let's move on to the Sakura. I'm going to lay you out the pens here so you can see which ones they are. The Posca, the Signo, and the Sakura is next. I've just noticed that the No Name brand and the Sakura, apart from the writing on the jelly roll, they're almost identical. They look exactly the same. I actually picked up the No Name brand when I was looking for the Sakura pen. Okay, so on the straight line across, it's going to cross the markers, but not across the colouring pencil. So even trying to maybe scratch off some of the colouring pencil to apply the white pen over, it's definitely not as good as the other ones. It's definitely going to take you a while to work that over colouring pencils. Over the marker, not so bad. You can definitely see it, not as vibrant as the other two, but you can see it. But as far as the colouring pencils go, these dots have worked okay, but the lines and the, say, drawing or colouring section, not so much. Just trying to give it some kind of fairness here and work it back to see if I can get it to stand out. But not so much, and it definitely scrapes off your colouring pencil. So let's move on to the Pentel Hybrid Gel pen and see how this works. I'll zoom out a small bit here so you can see as I'm drawing maybe the comparison between the other pens. We're going on to the Hybrid Gel Pentel pen. So again, the straight line, you can see it on the markers, but when it comes to the colouring pencils, they seem to have a bit of trouble. They kind of scratch off the top layer. These are Prismacolor pencils, so they are wax based. So as it's going over kind of the wax, it's just not making any mark. And I find I have to clean the nib of the pen to go back in and make more lines with the pen tip. You can still kind of see it, but it's definitely a lot more work if you're trying to get it to stand out on the colouring pencils. Now when I was choosing the colours to use, I wanted to choose a lighter colour and a darker colour for the colouring pencils, because that's usually the dark colours are where you're going to use your highlights or the dots or whatever. So let's go in with the No brand pen. What I find with this pen is it feels a bit watery almost. So in the white, when the ink is coming out, it's almost like there's a water layer on top of it, and it was a struggle to get it to work at all on the colouring pencil. Whereas again, the marker, it's okay because the marker is a flat base. So the dots seem to be working okay. Surprisingly, they're actually working a little bit better than, say, the Sakura or the Pentel, because if you go over it a second time, it's actually showing up a lot more than what the other two did. So while initially I didn't think this would work as well, I feel like this might actually work better than the other two very expensive ones. So there you have it. There's the 5 different pens, and the way they work. I definitely feel like I may have a new favourite, not just because of the price, but because of the way that it has worked across both the black paper and along the marker and the coloured pencil. So if we go back to the black paper now, most of them haven't lost any vibrancy, to be fair. They're as vibrant now as they were when we drew them in, but you can see that there is quite a difference between the brightness of the white of the Signo and, say, the No brand white pen. But I think you have to expect that when there is such a mega price difference. So I'm definitely going to give Signo number 1. I think I'm going to class Signo the best white pen that I used. It worked lovely on the black, it was very vibrant, it worked really well on the colouring pencils, it really stood out without much of an effort. Number 2 is the Posca pen, which is my old favourite. Again, you can see how well it worked on the black. It was quite vibrant, but not as vibrant as the Signo, but it also worked really well across the pencil and the markers. Now honestly, I don't see there's much difference between the Sakura Jelly Roll and the Hybrid, so I'm going to mark them both at a 3 because they worked really well on the black paper, they worked really well on the marker. It's just the pencil was a lot of work to get them to come out, but when they did finally come out, they haven't lost any of their vibrancy, I suppose. So that would be 1 for the Signo, 2 for the Posca, 3 for the Sakura Jelly Roll and the Hybrid, and 4 for the No named brand, which I think when you're looking at the price of things, the Signo is definitely giving you a good bang for your buck when it is $172 per pen, whereas the Sakura is $304 per pen. So maybe we'll go 3.5 for the hybrid, because it just worked out slightly more expensive and there wasn't much of a difference, maybe. And then 4 for the no brand, because to be fair, I wouldn't throw it away. It's not a bad pen, and at $1 it's kind of holding its own against the other two. There isn't much of a difference between the last 3, to be fair. So something for you to think about. Well, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. If you would like to take part in a vote to see what I review next, then you can join me on Patreon, where my Patreon members vote as to what they'd like to see next. As always, thank you very much to my Patreon members and to my colouring team, to all the members of my colouring group who support me on a daily basis. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like the video, click the notification bell, subscribe if you're not already, look after yourself, and as always, stay sassy.